Every day, millions of tons of fruits and vegetables reach markets with near-perfect quality. But behind that is a high-pressure race where farmers must harvest at the exact right moment or lose entire crops worth millions. And as farmland shrinks and labor declines, production is still increasing at an unbelievable scale. Driven by a system where human precision and machine power work together under extreme time pressure, because harvesting is not just picking. It is a critical operation where timing, handling, and speed directly decide quality and profit. And even a small mistake can turn fresh produce into waste within seconds, especially with fragile fruits that bruise instantly. While at the same time, workers must handle massive loads weighing tens of kilograms, switching constantly between delicate control and raw strength, all within narrow harvest windows that sometimes last only a few days, forcing farms to deploy workers, machines, and logistics in perfect synchronization to finish before quality drops. And behind every fruit is a tightly optimized chain of cutting, transporting, sorting, and storing that must move faster than ever, often completing the entire process within hours, supported by conveyors, cutting systems, and vibration technology that can harvest entire fields in a fraction of the time. Yet many crops still depend on skilled hands that machines cannot fully replace, creating a system that is both highly efficient and extremely sensitive to failure, where any delay can disrupt the entire supply chain. And this is the hidden reality of modern agriculture. A constant balance between speed, precision, and scale, where farmers must adapt instantly to different crops, conditions, and risks, making harvesting one of the most demanding operations in the world today. And in this journey, you will see how that system works across different farms, where every second matters and every harvest is a race against time. The global harvest system begins in regions where climate conditions allow year-round production. And this is where the pressure to maintain both volume and quality becomes most visible, starting with tropical fruits that require extreme care despite being produced at massive scale. Because even with global output reaching tens of millions of tons, fruits like mangoes still cannot be fully mechanized due to their thin skin and soft flesh, meaning every single fruit must be handled with controlled precision to avoid bruising that can instantly reduce market value. And this forces workers to develop fast but gentle movements, where each mango is picked with a quick twist while maintaining full control of its fall. And for fruits positioned high above the ground, long harvesting poles fitted with net bags are used to catch them mid-air the moment they detach, preventing any impact damage while still maintaining speed. And this alone shows how even the simplest action becomes a calculated process when scaled to thousands of fruits per day. But the intensity increases further when moving into banana plantations, where the challenge shifts from delicacy to raw physical coordination, because bananas must be harvested while still green to ensure they ripen correctly during transport. And each bunch can weigh over 30 kilograms, requiring teams of workers to operate in perfect sequence, where one cuts the entire cluster with a single precise strike, while another immediately supports the falling weight to prevent damage. And within seconds, the bunch is transferred onto a cable system that moves continuously across the plantation, turning the entire field into a moving production line that transports bananas directly to processing areas without delay. And this system allows farms to handle enormous volumes without slowing down. But it also demands constant synchronization because any disruption can cause backups that affect the entire harvest flow. And from here, the process transitions into crops like watermelons, where size and weight create a different type of challenge, as each fruit must be checked individually for ripeness before being cut and lifted, often requiring multiple workers to pass them hand to hand across the field, forming a human chain that keeps movement continuous. But in modern operations, this manual effort is increasingly replaced by mobile conveyor systems that allow workers to simply place the fruit onto a moving belt, instantly reducing physical strain while dramatically increasing speed and consistency. And this shift highlights a key transformation in agriculture, where machines are not replacing workers entirely, but instead removing the most repetitive and exhausting parts of the job, allowing humans to focus on quality control and decision-making. And this pattern continues with more specialized crops like prickly pear, where harvesting becomes a direct test of safety and technique because the fruit is covered in sharp spines that can easily penetrate skin, forcing workers to use thick gloves, cloth layers, or specialized tools to grip and twist the fruit without injury. And even then, every movement must be controlled to avoid damage, showing how risk is constantly present in even the smallest harvesting tasks. And moving forward to papaya farms, timing becomes the dominant factor once again, as fruits intended for export are picked when only partially ripe, often at just the early stage of color change, allowing them to complete ripening during long-distance transport. And this requires precise judgment because harvesting too early or too late can disrupt the entire supply chain. And once picked, each papaya is carefully placed into cushioned crates and kept in shaded conditions to maintain quality, reinforcing the idea that harvesting does not end at picking, but continues through handling and storage. And this level of detail extends into crops like jujubes, where harvesting is triggered by visible changes in color and texture. And instead of picking each fruit individually, farmers use controlled force by striking branches with sticks to release ripe fruits, while others quickly gather them from the ground, creating a fast and efficient system that balances speed with acceptable levels of impact. And this diversity of methods becomes even more extreme when dealing with massive fruits like jackfruit, where size alone creates a logistical challenge. As some fruits grow high on trees and require workers to climb and cut them manually, demanding both strength and balance to ensure safety while handling weights that can exceed several tens of kilograms. And once cut, the fruit must be lowered carefully and positioned in a specific way to allow internal resin to drain before transport, showing how even after harvest, additional steps are required to prepare the product for market. And this entire sequence reveals a critical pattern across modern agriculture, where no single method dominates, and instead, each crop forces farmers to adapt with a combination of manual skill, simple tools, and increasingly advanced support systems, all working together to maintain a continuous flow of food at a scale that continues to expand every year, setting the foundation for even more advanced harvesting systems that will appear as we move deeper into the next stage of this journey. As the harvest system expands beyond tropical crops, the balance begins to shift more aggressively toward machine-assisted operations, especially in crops where speed and volume are critical, starting with bell peppers, where manual precision is still required to select only ripe fruits. But large-scale farms now integrate conveyor-based harvesting machines that move through rows continuously, using mechanical systems to detach peppers and transport them instantly to sorting areas, reducing the time between picking and processing to just minutes. And this is crucial because even slight delays can affect freshness and shelf life, and the same transformation is happening with cucumbers, where traditional hand-picking is being replaced by machines that glide across fields, separating fruits from stems and lifting them onto onboard conveyors that clean and sort them immediately, allowing entire fields to be harvested in a single day instead of several. And this dramatic increase in speed becomes even more evident in potato harvesting, where the process is almost entirely mechanized, as powerful machines move through the soil with front-mounted blades that lift entire layers of earth, carrying potatoes, rocks, and debris onto vibrating conveyor systems that shake off soil and filter out unwanted materials in real time, leaving only clean potatoes to be transferred directly into storage containers. And this continuous flow system allows dozens of tons to be harvested and loaded without stopping, turning what was once slow manual labor into a highly efficient industrial operation. But while some crops move fully into mechanization, others still demand extreme human effort, especially those that grow vertically, like coconuts, where harvesting remains one of the most physically demanding and risky tasks, requiring workers to climb tall trees or use long poles fitted with cutting blades to detach fruits from great heights, all while maintaining balance and control to avoid injury and product damage. And once harvested, coconuts are often moved through water channels and grouped together for transport, showing how even simple natural systems are used to improve efficiency. And this combination of risk and precision continues with date harvesting, where fruits grow high in dense clusters, forcing workers to secure themselves with ropes and carefully climb trees to select only the best fruits, which are then lowered gently using baskets to prevent bruising. And this careful handling is necessary because even small damage can reduce the value of the entire batch. And in contrast, crops like pomegranates and peaches highlight the importance of speed combined with judgment, as workers must pick quickly while constantly evaluating ripeness, often working early in the morning to preserve freshness and using ladders to reach higher branches. And despite the availability of machines, these crops still rely heavily on human experience to maintain quality standards. And this ongoing tension between speed and care becomes even more advanced with fruits like figs and olives, where vibration technology plays a key role. As specialized tools or large machines generate controlled shaking that causes ripe fruits to detach and fall onto collection surfaces below, allowing entire trees to be harvested in seconds, a process that would take hours by hand. And this same principle extends to cherries, hazelnuts, and pistachios, where tree shakers and ground collection systems enable massive orchards to be harvested rapidly, with built-in cleaning mechanisms that remove leaves, dust, and empty shells during the same operation, effectively combining harvesting and initial processing into one seamless workflow. And this level of integration represents a major leap in agricultural efficiency, as it reduces labor requirements while increasing output consistency. And yet even within these advanced systems, there are still smaller farms that rely on traditional hand-picking methods to ensure premium quality, proving that no single approach dominates entirely. And instead, modern agriculture operates as a layered system where different techniques coexist, each optimized for specific conditions, crop types, and market demands. And this complexity continues to grow as farms adopt more technology while still depending on human expertise to manage variability, setting the stage for even more intense and highly optimized harvesting systems that push seed productivity to its absolute limits in the next phase of this journey. As harvesting systems reach higher levels of intensity, farms begin to integrate full-cycle operations where cutting, collecting, cleaning, and transporting happen almost simultaneously, starting with crops like apricots, where instead of relying on expensive machinery, some farms use improvised but highly effective methods by connecting tractors to tree trunks and generating controlled vibrations that shake ripe fruits loose onto large tarps spread below, allowing hundreds of kilograms to be collected in minutes. And once gathered, these apricots are often moved directly into drying processes to extend shelf life, showing how harvesting is immediately linked to preservation and market strategy. And this tight integration becomes even more advanced in crops like hops, where the process is not just about picking, but resetting the entire plant for the next growth cycle. As machines cut the base of the plant, while simultaneously removing the upper vines, loading them directly into transport systems that move continuously toward processing facilities where flowers are separated, dried, and packaged, creating a seamless pipeline from field to factory with almost no delay. And this level of coordination highlights how modern agriculture is no longer a series of separate steps, but a continuous production flow. And this same pressure for speed is clearly visible in manual crops like broccoli, where workers must move rapidly across fields, cutting heads at precise sizes while trimming leaves and loading them into containers without stopping, because timing is critical to maintain freshness. And even a short delay under heat can reduce product quality significantly. And this demand for speed under physical strain becomes even more extreme in plum harvesting, where workers spend long hours picking fruit continuously, often from early morning until late evening, carrying heavy baskets that gradually increase in weight. And despite the repetitive nature of the task, every fruit must still be handled carefully to avoid surface damage, proving that even the most labor-intensive processes still require precision. And while these manual operations continue, large-scale farms are pushing automation further with crops like Napa cabbage, where specialized machines move through fields cutting heads cleanly and transferring them onto conveyor belts that pass through, trimming systems to remove outer leaves, producing uniform products ready for packaging within seconds, eliminating multiple manual steps and significantly reducing labor needs. And this transformation becomes even more powerful in grain harvesting systems, such as buckwheat, where massive combine harvesters perform multiple operations at once, cutting stalks, separating seeds, removing impurities, and collecting clean output into storage tanks. all while continuously moving across fields, effectively compressing what used to take days of labor into a single, uninterrupted process. And yet, despite this high level of mechanization, certain crops like pomelo still require careful manual harvesting, as workers use pruning tools to detach each fruit individually, often climbing ladders and working under intense sunlight for hours, balancing speed with caution to prevent damage. And this coexistence of advanced machines and traditional methods continues with crops like chives, where compact harvesting machines are designed for precision rather than scale, cutting stems uniformly and gently transporting them into storage compartments, allowing small farms to significantly boost productivity without sacrificing quality. And in contrast, harvesting bamboo shoots represents one of the most traditional and physically demanding methods still in use today, taking place in mountainous terrain where machinery cannot operate, forcing workers to rely entirely on manual tools to dig carefully around each shoot, ensuring it remains intact while carrying increasing loads back through difficult paths. And this stark difference between silent, manual harvesting in remote areas and loud, high-speed machine operations in industrial farms highlights the full spectrum of modern agriculture, where efficiency is achieved not through a single method, but through the constant adaptation of techniques to match each crop, environment, and economic condition. It's creating a system that is both highly advanced and deeply rooted in human effort, setting up the final stage where scale, speed, and endurance reach their absolute peak at the peak of modern harvesting. Everything accelerates to a level where entire fields can be cleared in hours. And this is where the most powerful systems in agriculture come into full force, starting with sunflower fields that stretch across massive areas, where specialized harvesting machines move in perfect alignment, cutting through rows with multi-head systems that capture seed-filled flower heads and immediately process them inside the machine, separating seeds from plant material in real time and transferring them into storage containers without stopping, allowing hundreds of kilograms to be collected in just a short window. And this same high-speed efficiency appears in raspberry production, where traditional handpicking once limited output. But now advanced harvesters use controlled vibration systems to shake ripe berries loose, while conveyor belts catch and transport them instantly, turning what used to take days into a continuous operation that can cover large areas rapidly. And this shift is critical as global demand increases, forcing farms to produce more while maintaining consistent quality, and the intensity continues with crops like garlic, where even after being pulled from the ground and dried, the harvesting process is far from over, as workers must trim roots and stems manually, repeating the same precise motion thousands of times under direct sunlight, gradually filling containers that represent hours of continuous labor. And this repetitive work highlights a key reality that even in highly mechanized systems, human effort remains essential in final stage processing. And this becomes even more demanding in asparagus harvesting, where speed and accuracy must combine perfectly. As workers bend low across long rows, cutting each spear at the exact point of maturity, often working in large groups during peak season to meet tight harvest windows, and every spear must remain straight and undamaged, requiring careful placement into trays that are quickly transported for packaging. And this process may look simple, but at scale, it becomes one of the most physically exhausting tasks in agriculture, demanding endurance, focus, and consistency for hours without pause. And across all these systems, one pattern becomes clear. The closer agriculture moves toward maximum efficiency, the more it depends on perfect synchronization between human labor and machine power. Because machines can increase speed, but humans still control quality, timing, and decision-making. When these two elements align, the result is an operation capable of producing and moving enormous volumes of food in extremely short periods. And this is the true climax of modern harvesting, where silence and noise, precision and force, tradition and innovation all exist at the same time. From workers carefully cutting individual crops by hand to machines roaring across fields, processing entire harvests in a single pass. And this combination is what allows the global food system to function at its current scale, delivering millions of tons of produce to markets around the world while operating under constant pressure from time, weather, and demand, creating a system that is not only massive and fast, but also incredibly complex, where every second counts and every action contributes to feeding millions of people. Setting the stage for the final reflection on what all of this means for the future of agriculture and the people behind it. Behind every perfectly displayed fruit and vegetable in markets around the world is a system that never stops moving. A system powered not only by machines, but by millions of workers whose effort determines whether entire harvests succeed or fail. And despite all the advancements in technology, farmers remain the central force that keeps this system alive, because machines can cut, shake, lift, and transport, but they still depend on human judgment to decide when to start, when to stop, and what meets the standard for quality. And this balance is becoming more important as global demand continues to rise, while resources become more limited, forcing agriculture to produce more food using less land, less labor, and less time. And this pressure is driving rapid innovation across the industry, from smarter harvesting machines to more efficient logistics systems that can move products across continents in record time. Yet even with all this progress, the core challenges remain unchanged. Timing is still critical, weather is still unpredictable, and the margin for error is still extremely small, meaning that every harvest season is a high-stakes operation where success depends on coordination, experience, and adaptability. And what makes this even more remarkable is that most of this work remains invisible to the people who benefit from it. Because by the time food reaches the table, the complexity behind it has already been completed, compressed into a final product that looks simple but represents ours. Days or even years of preparation. And as agriculture continues to evolve, the future will likely bring even more automation, with machines becoming smarter, faster, and more precise, capable of handling tasks that once required human hands. But this does not mean the role of farmers will disappear. Instead, it will shift toward managing systems, making decisions, and ensuring that technology is used in the most effective way possible, creating a new kind of agriculture that is both highly advanced and deeply dependent on human oversight. And this transition will define how food is produced in the coming decades as farms become more connected, more data-driven, and more efficient, while still facing the same fundamental goal of delivering fresh, high-quality food to a growing global population. And when looking at this entire process from start to finish, it becomes clear that harvesting is not just a step in agriculture. It is the moment where all effort, planning, and investment come together, where one decision can determine the outcome of an entire season. And this is why every movement, every cut, and every system matters. Because behind the scale, the speed, and the machines, there is always a human effort driving it forward. And that is what continues to shape the future of farming, making it faster, more efficient, more essential than ever before. So the next time you see fresh produce, remember that it is not just food. It is the result of one of the most complex and demanding operations happening every single day across the world.